Welcome to another React-A-Site about you guys. We're checking out another Casual Geographic, and this one is animals with black Air Force energy. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll find out. Enjoy! Top 10 animals with black Air Force energy. Let's see what happens. Okay. Poor kangaroo.
Black Air Force energy.
Is he gonna explain what it is? Because I'm still really clueless, and I feel like I'm the only one in chat who does not know.
Good old Urban Dictionary defines.
Oh my god, it's an Urban Dictionary thing! Wait. Escanor from the Seven Deadly Sins has black Air Force energy? Wait, what? A person or object that has insane potential and crazy to deal anything without fear or hesitation. Oh my god.
That has insane potential and is crazy enough to deal with anything without fear or hesitation.
Oh boy.
Regardless of moral alignment, including its own rivals or competitors. And it's quite clearly taking grammar lessons from NBA Youngboy. I'd say whoever wrote that was pretty on point. It's a term I use a lot in my videos without really explaining exactly what it is.
I've never heard it.
Full list of the top.
I'm just gonna say, I kind of love it. I kind of love it.
10 animals with the most black Air Force energy.
Wait. Would we say that Perturabo would have it? Would we say that? I'm so surprised you don't know NYC is a city of black Air Force. What? That sounds terrible.
Some animals are an obvious pick, others might just surprise you. But they've all earned their spot, including the animal at number 10, which might be the least clout of any animal on this list, but that's only because it's found one place in the world. Because if this bird were airdropped across the globe, it'd definitely be more known for all the wrong reasons.
Number 10.
Starting off is what happens when an animal is too smart for everyone else's quality of life. The Kia is a large parrot that can be found terrorizing the people of New Zealand. And don't let it fool you, this black Air Force with a Grinch colorway is an op in every way.
Why?
Highly intelligent and armed with a hook-shaped beak. Which is a perfect tool for Kias to inflate insurance by picking apart cars. You see, the Kia is smart enough to associate people with the cars we drive with food. Which is why this anti-mechanic is famous for committing the cutest carjackings you'll ever see. Of course, they don't just stop at cars. This feather felon will go through purses, backpacks,
I love that.
Anything they can fly away with. There was even a case where this airborne pirate stole the passport of a Scottish man that didn't want to be identified.
Wait! They steal passports! That's insane!
No one wants to be remembered for getting denied from your home country because you got your passport pickpocketed by a panhandling parrot.
Oh my god!
It can happen to you, but guess what? If you happen to get your wallet snatched and try to see the Kia about it, be prepared to also eat a several $1,000 fine and even jail time.
What?
Kias are protected by the government because it only makes sense that something with wings would be above the law. And it's almost like every Kia knows it and acts accordingly. But it's not just humans getting griefed. Kias will regularly raid other birds' nests and make omelets with their unborn.
Dude, these things are dicks! Oh my god!
Children. And they'll use that Swiss Army knife to remove parts of a living sheep to eat. And there have been
they're dicks. Oh my god, they're dicks.
Reports of them victimizing dogs and even horses. But at least the Kia isn't a legitimate physical threat to people. The next animal's responsible for putting more zookeepers on workers' comp than any other animal.
What?
The African wilderness has some of the most ways to F around and find out per square mile in the world. So it makes sense that living in the most dangerous area codes in the world has turned the zebra into an actual psychopath.
Wait, really?
This oppressed Oreo horse has the strongest kick in the animal kingdom. Strong enough for Marty to have written Alex out of the sequel. Which is why, even though lions body them often, every once in a while a lion has to explain to his ancestors how he got flatlined by a high-strung equality donkey. But the generational anxiety of being constantly hunted means the zebra will often one-shot.
You guys ever see the zebra horse hybrid? They're actually pretty cool.
Something for existing too close to it. There's two reasons why you won't see a person riding a zebra. One, they're too small. And two, every zebra is fundamentally a bastard to its core. No, like literally. Because many mother zebras will actually mate with as many males as possible, because if she's showing and he suspects it's not hers, he'll violently press her until it's terminated. If the baby's already out, that's just an invitation for him to demote her from mother to mourning. And going back to humans, zebras are infamous for allegedly putting as many zoo staff in the ER as any other animal. They look like horses whose favorite part of a birthday is the finger painting station. But this panda pony's liable to paint the block with their insides if you breathe at them the wrong way. Treat one like a barnyard animal and
it's an identity crisis on hooves.
And because zebras are genetically closer to donkeys than horses, calling it the ass of Africa is a scientifically accurate title.
That's actually
really
funny.
And as the default protein of many of the landlords of the savannah, it's a title they hold with pride, because it's the best one they can get. 10% off is also what you can expect if you treat this barcode horse as a petting zoo.
We're about to get hit with something, I feel it.
But at least they have the excuse of constantly being plotted on. The next animal has less excuses but more disrespect. Deer managed to cause billions of dollars in damage a year.
Okay, I will say that, okay, if you live anywhere in the Northeast, okay, every time I leave the city, if I decide to go upstate, oh my God, these things want to hit your car. Not like they come charging at your car. You know the term deer in headlights, right? If you're driving at night and you're driving in a rural area, these things just casually walk out on the road and they'll stare at you while you're going 60. It is horrible.
By playing freeze tag with cars, and that ironically makes them the most dangerous animal in America. But where blissful ignorance makes deer a threat, the deer of down under initiate conflict.
Of course the Australian ones are worse. Do they have neurotoxin? I know they don't, but like, what makes a deer in Australia worse?
9 out of 10 car accidents in Australia involve kangaroos.
Oh!
A good number of them are premeditated and not by the driver. Kangaroos assault vehicles with enough regularity to commit insurance fraud.
Oh my God. Oh my God!
In fact, kangaroos will regularly beef with
You know what? Deers don't sound that bad now. Deers don't sound that bad. How much distance did he cover? Holy shit.
In fact, kangaroos will regularly beef with inanimate objects. But it's not just a bluff. These are some brolic marsupials.
Oh my
with
God.
claws, but more importantly, a sharp dagger of a toenail. Which is why it's not a kangaroo's punch you have to worry about, but that Jurassic pedicure disembowelment. It's what makes their sparring sessions so lethal. That and the fact that kangaroos start every day with the specific goal of inconveniencing as many life forms as possible. If you happen to fly a drone in kangaroo country, prepare to have your insurance tested. In fact, it's not a stretch to say they hate anything that flies. Can you imagine how ridiculous this could have gotten? Imagine people thinking you died paragliding when really you survived, but got mauled by a pack of roy rabbits on impact. Kangaroos are number 8 because there's really no good reason for this. You see, as dangerous as Australia is, there aren't really any dominant apex land predators. While kangaroos often contend with dingoes and the occasional wedge-tailed eagle, a full-grown kangaroo doesn't have much that can threaten it, other than a bigger kangaroo. So my working theory is,
oh my God,
cocky. And until nature airdrops some bears or maybe some type of big cat, kangaroos are still going to be out here thinking they can do whatever. Try to change their mind at your own risk. As on-site as these malicious macropods are, they're not even the most disrespectful animal in Australia, and believe me, we'll get to that. The Big 5 refers to the top 5 most dangerous.
I'm gonna already assume that the worst thing that's gonna, actually I'm not even gonna guess.
Dangerous animals to hunt in Africa. These include the elephant, the rhinoceros, the lion, the leopard, and an animal so feared it's been nicknamed Black Death. The African Cape buffalo is a walking attempted homicide case armed with a pair of horns to make most
We know this one, my arch nemesis.
They have one of the highest KD ratios against humans with guns. In some places, these tanks with road rage and 50% of the people they go after, and a lot of that is because they will actively seek revenge. There have been stories of one buffalo murking the same hunter that took out a member of its own herd. And whether you're a lion or a hunter, these trench cows get it back in blood. And the scariest version of a Cape buffalo is one that's already been injured. Hunters have followed a mortally wounded buffalo into thick brush, only for the freight train with legs to circle back and ambush them from behind. Which is why the #1 rule when hunting Cape buffalo, assume you only have one shot because that's usually all you get.
Like I said, if there's a Cape buffalo VTuber, they're my enemy.
Buffalo will seek out unsupervised lion cubs and log them out of life before they can grow up to be a threat. Not like the adults aren't at risk either. Capes will stalk and circle lone lions, using the threat of gang violence to give them a boss or a roommate. Which is how the same apex predator that can solo multiple hyenas can get sent up a tree like a house cat. They're like the Liam Neeson of animals. Wrong them and they make their life's mission to co-sign your obituary. That first hit was self-defense. Everything after that was a personal choice. And even though experienced lions can take them down, it's still very much a gamble.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially
That's
since
right.
they travel in herds of hundreds. That's also how they earned the nickname widowmaker. Because right now there's at least one woman on Tinder because her husband decided to hunt a 1-ton vibe check while the buffalo decided that would be the day to finally live up to his nickname. It's a murderous mammal, but like the zebra, it's often just self-defense gone way too far. Not like the antics of the next animal.
What is number 6? What could
If you're
number 6
talking
be?
about the black Air Force of the sky, you're probably talking
crow.
about crows.
Yeah.
Or really just corvids in general. Crows are smart enough to manipulate their environments. to
Crows
their
are cool,
advantage,
though.
But they're also devious enough to manipulate other animals for their own sadistic pleasure. I don't know what that crow said at that cat, but it certainly involves someone's mother. Ravens will weaponize their relationship with wolves to call out hits on competing coyotes. Crows in Tokyo have especially become a problem where they've basically gone to war against the entire human population. But it's not just
They're
humans
so
getting
damn
bullied.
smart.
There might not be a worse time to be an owl than in broad daylight surrounded by a murder of crows.
Oh, we talked about this on Twitch yesterday. I know we had a conversation on YouTube a while back where we said, how many owls do you have to see in a day to be uncomfortable? And me being in the concrete jungle of New York City, I don't normally see owls. Until yesterday when I randomly saw an owl sitting on top of a building staring at me. And I thought to myself, I only need to see one owl to be concerned. I don't like seeing owls where I am. It's a weird thing to see them, especially in the day. Anyway.
Not to mention, crows will often raid the nests of other birds for a disturbingly literal kids' meal. And that's when they're not just straight up snatching minors in front of their parents. I think EDP.
Oh my god, the little sidestepping.
They'll regularly mob and harass other birds until they drop the food they've already caught. And crows won't hesitate to beat on much larger birds of prey, which might explain why they do the exact same thing with humans to get them to surrender whatever calories they have on them. But the avian onslaught peaks out with the Australian magpie. Now, turns out they're not actually corvids. They actually sit closer to another bird with psychopath.
I've heard the magpies are like the worst thing in Australia. I don't know a lot about them, but I've heard they're like the worst thing in Australia.
Tendencies. Either way, Australian magpies manage to be the most feared thing in a country seasoned with crocs, cassowaries, and snakes. And while most wildlife is harmless as long as you respect their space, the earth is their space, and they have no patience for trespassers. To the point where many Australians have taken to wearing helmets to protect themselves from the magpie's malicious intent. Especially during swooping season, where magpies will relentlessly attack anything that gets near their nest. Actual human lives have been lost to this goth Tweety's tail.
What?
And since corvids can remember faces, once you've been swooped, you can expect the same treatment next year. I think Tirzu said it best, corvids are what would happen if you gave monkeys wings. But at least in the magpie's case, they're only a legitimate threat to a human way of life for the roughly 6 weeks of swooping season.
That's still terrifying.
The biggest dangers to humans all year round. It was really only a matter of time before the river rhino made
Oh, the
noise.
hippos.
Widely considered the world's deadliest mammal, you may have noticed that hippos weren't included in the Big Five, and I have to assume that's because nobody that has a desire to see the next day would actually hunt them. Arguably,
Yeah.
no animal has a harder working
Yeah,
PR
I
team
wouldn't
than the
wanna screw with a
hippopotamus.
hippo.
First of all, it's not the goofy lardonky it lets you think it is.
How fast
A
can they go, like
thin
40?
subcutaneous
40,
fat layer means hippos
not 40
actually
miles per
walk in
hour.
units.
Like
And
20 miles
despite
per
their
hour?
awkward appearance, hippos can outpace any human over short distances, and that includes on land and in water, where they somehow become even more territorial.
God, that's
Hippos have
terrifying.
been known to lower the census totals of other animals for seemingly no reason. Just when an antelope thinks it's been bailed out, the slaughter horse does origami with its spine. And even though
Why?
they're supposed to be herbivores, every once in a while they'll give into the temptation of tasting the flesh of their victims. Cannibalism is not off the table.
What?
Science doesn't really know why exactly they do this, but science doesn't account for an animal just being a
35, okay.
Few predators will press this obese water pig, and those that do so at their own risk. Hippos are so carnage happy that the biggest threat to a baby hippo is a bigger, meaner bull hippo. It's how a hippo baby shower can legitimately end in a rain of flesh confetti. Now, to be fair, plenty of animals resort to infanticide. Hippos are just really mean about it. Like I said, nobody's PR team works
Oh
hard,
my
except
God.
maybe dolphins. Which makes sense, since despite resembling ungulates like warthogs and rhinos, the hippo's closest living relatives are actually cetaceans like dolphins and whales. But instead of making it out in the ocean, hippos decided to make a living griefing everything in its area code. And I didn't even mention the way they claim that area code.
Mudang, I believe, is a pygmy hippo, right? Why are we looking at the poop propeller?
You know, if you unsubscribed right now, I wouldn't blame you. The only thing that can make this whale Karen more of a menace than it already.
You know what? At that moment, you know, while he said unsubscribe, I'm gonna say it now. If you like it, you guys should subscribe. I'm kind of cool, you know. Just saying. You just saw a poop propeller. You know how many VTubers show you poop propellers on streams? You know, I think it's worth a subscription. Just saying.
He is if it were a straight up predator, or if it hunted in packs. Then again, that would literally make it an animal further down this list. My personal bias was not going to keep the elephant off this list. Asian elephants especially get themselves into trouble by raiding villages and emptying out their rice supply, which is why Asian elephants are responsible for the bulk of human hashtags, especially since they can be just as vengeful as the Cape buffalo. Earlier this year, a man in Thailand had an elephant working hauling wood in the brutal heat, which is illegal, and apparently the elephant knew his rights because he proceeded to rip his boss in half. And of course, we gotta address the
elephant in the room.
One elephant traveled over 100 miles to murk a 70-year-old woman collecting water.
I think we've heard this one.
To attack the sole evicted body, this time in front of her family. The biggest mystery of mankind is what motivated.
Right. Well, didn't they say that she was actually she was either a poacher in the past or she's related to a poacher or something ridiculous?
A 4-ton pachyderm to pack up an elderly woman twice. If he had a reason, it's not like he's gonna tell us. Elephants rank over hippos because where hippos commit war crimes in the heat of passion, when an elephant catches a body, you can almost be certain it was premeditated. And it's in populations that have been fragmented by poaching where young male elephants really fly off the handle. And bull elephants are already pretty high-strung as it is, but they managed to get worse in communities decimated by poaching. To the point where 3 elephants in South Africa were responsible for deleting 63 rhinos as well as charging at people. Now, to be fair, poaching typically targets older bulls, and research shows that without old heads around, younger male elephants go into must a lot sooner than they should. Which I get. What I don't get is why that has to
oh my god,
into a whiteout. What you have to remember is that elephants are intelligent enough to experience every human emotion like compassion, empathy, and grief. But for every headline like this, you might get a headline like this. And if elephants wore shoes, they'd rock the biggest black Air Forces the world's ever seen. But that's only because the next animal on this list doesn't have legs.
Uh-oh. What is next? Orca?
One of the biggest injustices
Dolphins.
of cinema is that where dolphins got cast as a lovable flipper, sharks got typecast as Jaws. Dolphins are the most disrespectful beings in the ocean. Makes sense because they're basically intelligent hydrodynamic.
Oh my god.
They regularly bully sharks, use fish heads and live eels as marital aids, commit unprovoked acts of porpoiside, all while letting humanity think they're the good guys. They have mating practices so brutal that I probably can't even talk about them. Just know that what dolphins
I don't even have much to say, damn.
might try to do to me. But we can't talk about dolphins without talking about the biggest dolphin of all. The orca is the most
okay, it is about the orca. See?
on the planet that isn't human.
Look, we've talked about this before when orcas came up, but the story I can never forget, and I don't think he's going to talk about it, but is one of the SeaWorld ones where one of the trainers was dragged by her ponytail down to the bottom because the orca was bored. So it dragged her down, would let go of her so she could run to the surface, or she could swim to the surface to breathe. Then he would grab her hair again and pull her back down, and it repeated this process until it accidentally broke her neck.
And as if sheer size and intelligence wasn't enough, they typically hunt in pods with the coordination of a wolf pack, which is how this oppressive sea oriole regularly griefs the tankiest animals on the planet. They're such a force that great whites have been known to abandon hunting grounds for up to a year once this steroid quality guppy makes an appearance.
Yep.
Probably because they've been known to use the shark's biology against them to rob them of their heart and liver, just to leave the rest of the shark to sink to the abyss. And then there's the fact that orcas often practice their craft on other animals. Which is why if you ever feel bad about penguins getting bullied by seals, I suggest you see what happens when a Navy SEAL joins.
Did they ever elaborate? I think it was like a year or two ago when the trend was quite literally orcas were going for great white livers, and that's all they would take from the shark was just take the liver. That was it. So I remember they were talking about it, but I don't know if they ever like figured out what it was or if it was just one of those trends that they got into.
The Air Force. And while you could chalk this up to hunting strategy, there's also the chance that living life on Roku difficulty means orcas get bored and just start trying stuff. And while it's true a wild orca is never taking out a human, that hasn't stopped them from actively messing with human vessels with disturbing regularity. It's like they know who's ruining the ocean and adjust their behavior accordingly. Either way, orcas are the humans of all things. Moral of the story, Free Willy should have been put on parole. The only thing more black Air Force than an animal that griefs everything around it would be an animal that commits atrocities against its own kind. And that's why orcas are only number 3.
Oh no. Oh no.
Ask any zookeeper what animal they fear the most. If they don't say chimps, they've never worked with one. A common misconception is that chimps are 5 times stronger than the average man. And while the numbers
I'll say it every time, they go for your face.
Chimps have more fast twitch muscles, a stronger bite force, and a stronger grip force. Their ability to use tools is fascinating to watch, until you realize that means they're able to create and use weapons. People often forget that chimpanzees are pack hunting predators able to execute attacks with the precision of early man, and that doesn't just apply to their prey. Chimps in Luongo National Park have been documenting attacking families of gorillas and murking any helpless offspring they can get their hands on. Literally no animal safe from the violent tendencies of Furious George. But it's the damage they inflict against their own kind that puts them over the top. Chimp casualties often share the same issues.
Yeah, we got the chimp wars.
Face, missing fingers if not entire hands, and a non-consensual neutering. Chimps seem to have an understanding of what's important to an animal, and they go out of their way to remove.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's why I can show you this picture, and you'll understand.
Yeah.
And it's why instead of organ donor, I have, if ever maimed by a chimp, just let me die on my driver's license. And it's also why you probably have a better chance of surviving being locked in a room with a lion than in a room with a furry chainsaw with guns. The fact that a chimp can get put 6 feet under by members of its own troop guarantees them a spot on this list.
Nope.
The only way an animal could beat that is if something was enough of a menace to be a legitimate threat to itself. And that's exactly what number 1 is.
Oh no.
But before we reveal number 1, here's some honorable mentions. The
Okay.
Canadian goose.
Yup.
For having
Professional
the most
hater.
irrational confidence of
Professional
any
hater.
They actually almost went extinct, and now they revolve their entire existence around punishing humanity for it. Swans. Because what geese think they are, swans always have been.
Okay, I'm not gonna. Oh, was that a honey badger? Right? No, but or is that the Wolverine? All I was gonna say is swans. Swans are the epitome of evil.
Wolverines. Because they're more than capable of hunting for themselves, but they'd rather tax animals 3 times their size for a living. Meerkats. For being quite literally the most homicidal mammals on the planet. And now at number 1, to absolutely no one's surprise, the honey badger.
Yup.
The most unapologetically disrespectful.
And I wonder if he's gonna talk about the other thing we learned about what they have in the tank, about the distended butt.
I have an entire video dedicated to the exploits of this steroid skunk, but here are some highlights. They'll regularly pinch food from leopards and then throw a tantrum if they get caught. They'll take on packs of animals that realistically should be able to one-shot them. But the Oreo weasel has plot armor in the form of crackhead courage. They'll raid the hives of African bees, the same bees that are 10 times meaner and sting.
Is it bad that I kind of love the honey badger, as effed up as it is? It's such a psychopath. I love it.
10 times more than their European cousins. And honey badgers aren't immune to bee stings. They're resistant, but enough stings will flatline a honey badger. But ask the honey badger if he cares. He won't answer, but you know the answer. These prison ferrets also run fades with highly
Prison
venomous
ferrets,
cobras.
no!
If they manage to get bitten, they'll just slip into a cobra-induced coma and then wake up hours later and walk it off like a Sunday morning hangover. Even the honey badger's idea of self-defense is as offensive as you can get. As in, they'll reverse their anal pouches inside out and release a smell so pungent it can allegedly paralyze attacking bees. Honestly, any animal that religiously attacks the baby makers of others is a different tier of menace. No other badger represented this better than Stoffel, who once escaped from his enclosure and picked a fight with a neighboring family of lions who nearly mauled him to death. After about 2 months in the hospital, the first thing the affiliated ferret did fresh out was go right back at the same lines to settle the score. That was only one of the hundreds of times Stoffel managed to raise the blood pressure of the people around him. But here's the real kicker. Stoffel was actually hand-raised by humans at a young age and therefore imprinted on them. He had no intention of ever leaving. The whole thing was just a game to him. Because if blatant disrespect were a sport, they still wouldn't play it because anything involving rules goes against the belief system. But that's going to do it for this video. For more consistent content, be sure to follow my Instagram and TikTok. I try to further support this channel. My Patreon's also going to be in the description.
Oh my god.
Also, don't feel like you have to give anything. If you watch the video this far, you've already done more than enough.
Oh my god, we love you.
Hug your mother. Don't hug a honey badger. It'll never end well. And I'll see you in the next one.
Don't hug a honey badger. You heard it here first, folks. Oh my god, I loved that. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Until next time.